When I think in KALEIDOS project and in the keywords, I always think in people. I know this is about open science, this is about co-creation, this is about measure and impact.
At the beginning, Kaleidos was trying to answer many questions. How to make new knowledge more accessible, for example, or how to transform research into real-world solutions for all, or how to assess the impact of research and the knowledge it generates. At the end, how to enhance knowledge valorization by fostering collaboration.
When we talk about knowledge valorization, what we mean is how to make more impactful, more valuable, more relevant all the intellectual assets, know-how and results that are generated in the context of the universities and research centers.
If you think how knowledge valorization and transfer has been made, or a lot of innovations have been created, in the research and innovation area, it's usually happening in the context of universities. Researchers or in companies, innovators, usually also working together. This part of the process is quite in sync, for a long time already. But, you realize this is not enough.
KALEIDOS is a project that aims to develop tools, educational materials and resources to help both universities and research centers have a knowledge valorization model based on open science that help them really bring value to all that it's generated in their context. It's really enabling everyone who feels affected or compelled by the topic of relevance to really participate throughout the process, not only particularly or at certain times, but really be an active actor throughout it, and then be able also to understand what's happening and to really grasp the value that all those processes have for them, and therefore also contributes to this kind of knowledge valorization processes that we are trying to develop at the university and research centers levels.
For me, the KALEIDOS project is more a community of people that share the same ambition. It means nowadays it's very important when you try to do research, when you try to develop new product, when you try to develop innovation, it's very important to integrate very different kind of people, different kind of stakeholders.
I think that the research that it is co-created and the disseminated together, it has much more impact because it is co-created and then it is much more useful, and you have overcome in advance some barriers because you have into account the different perspectives, so you don't arrive at the end of the stage that you have something that maybe is not accepted or maybe it is not what society wants.
So in sum, to make science impactful and open, to bring value to knowledge, KALEIDOS has foreseen a systemic, collaborative approach in which all societal actors work together to identify current and future challenges that are relevant for all.
There are already many definitions for open science, but in KALEIDOS, I think that we understand open science as a collaborative way of doing science, meaning engaging with different actors, having into account different approaches and including different perspectives, and trying also to create impact.
I think that the concept of open science is related to the concept of ecosystem. And in the case of knowledge ecosystem, it's the same. At the end, knowledge is something that is flowing among the actors of the system. For this reason, I think that it's very important this systemic view when we are talking about knowledge ecosystem, and this is the basis, this is the new paradigm of open science, to work with this knowledge ecosystem.
So KALEIDOS' first task was to identify and engage all the stakeholders in our partners' different ecosystems, with whom we would then work together to outline and put forward solutions that address the future challenges. KALEIDOS has a strong focus on practical tools and processes. We have designed and implemented a shared approach that brings together best practices in knowledge valorization from across the consortium. Together, we have adapted and refined them, co-creating a new toolkit through collaboration and experience.
The research paradigm has shifted very much, that it's research and innovation. How do we create impact? How do we how do we create value with our research? So again, you need different types of partners, whether that's building social value, whether it's building technological advances, whether it's building other perspectives. So for us, our networks is about how do we find ways of integrating organizations, individuals and people in to support us in our development, and how can we utilize what we produce for the benefit of others.
We supported research and innovation managers from our university partners in strengthening their role beyond administration, enabling them to act as connectors between research, society, and policy, and facilitating their interactions. In a training for facilitators, the managers developed the skills to drive knowledge valorization processes with co-creation, to build partnership across sectors in their ecosystem, and to support challenge-driven innovation processes.
We have been working for a while to work with challenge identification. So it is a way to try to engage different stakeholders from quadruple helix to define what are the main challenges that they want to tackle together. But it is very important is to have a network created. I mean, to have connections before with the ecosystem, with civil society associations, but also with the municipalities, you know, in order to have these points of contact in the institutions that then you know that the people who are working in different topics that you can contact for different challenges.
To support managers and organizations along their journey, we developed a set of self-assessment tools. These tools helped universities reflect on their current position with regards to knowledge valorization, and to identify the skills and competences that their researchers and their managers need to enhance the work on challenge-driven innovation processes with an open science approach.
It was needed because usually we identify the needed skills asking the researchers and the managers themselves, but not the people that they are working with. So what we thought was that it was necessary to ask the external stakeholders to actually tell us what was actually needed. So we consulted civil society representatives, people from the private sector and the public sector, and then we complemented this information with asking again the researchers and the research managers as well to see the differences between their own perspective about the skills they needed and the skills that were needed to improve or to be enhanced, and the perspective from the stakeholders from outside of academia. So what we did was that each university was in charge of identifying different stakeholders to be able to distribute the survey as well for them. And before designing the survey, what we did was to think about the stakeholders and see their level of knowledge about open science and knowledge valorization to be able to design a survey that was understandable for them as well. And then we designed the survey and we distributed the survey to the identified stakeholders at each university. We validated the results also with someone from outside the project that was expert in these collaborations between researchers and non-academic actors.
The KALEIDOS Ideas Generation program was the result of bringing together existing best practices around knowledge valorization within the consortium, with the aim of empowering researchers to address relevant societal challenges within their ecosystems. The program included both training and participatory creative sessions to best equip research teams and help them develop solutions for the ecosystem-identified challenges that were both visible and high impact. Each research team was matched with one or more mentors who provided then ongoing guidance and feedback as the ideas took shape. To wrap up, the teams delivered a final presentation, sharing their proposals with peers, mentors, and key stakeholders.
We usually try to also engage researchers and to co-define the regional challenges also with academics. Once the ecosystem identifies the sub-challenges is where we need to really identify how our university can contribute, what is the expertise that we can provide to solve or to try to advance in these challenges. And we also, in this step, we identify what are the research groups that are working in the different areas. So we try to connect the research groups with these sub-challenges and see how we can provide solutions to each of those sub-challenges. Once we have these broad challenges, what we do is to identify what are the public administration, civil society or business that are connected to the topic. So we identify if they have initiatives connected, if they are working already in this line, and we engage them in a number of workshops to try to together codify the challenges that we want to work, and then also from this broad challenge try to filter into sub-challenges where we can lately engage our researchers and also to work together to find solutions for these challenges.
I think it was really interesting because this session was participatory, so we decided which were the different sub-challenges about this active aging. We gathered together in groups, and so we could really get deep into these different sub-challenges and try to decide how we can really work on them together. So from the different stakeholders' perspective, being like researcher or being administration or being a company. So I think that's what's the good thing of this session, that we could really work on together and participate and debate between us about the different challenges.
I will summarize as a journey of knowledge and of sharing different perspectives, being part of a whole story where in an ecosystem of people with different roles and being actors of different settings that all of us, we are integrated. So it gives us a little bit that we are getting outside of our small cave of the university, from our labs or our classrooms. And I think that it has been a strong contribution also to the process of thinking.
In this part of the project, it became relevant to translate the main results into policy recommendation. Recommendation at different level of analysis, at different level of the organization that were part of the project. So first of all, at the university level, then we aim to include the ecosystem level, and then also to provide some knowledge concerning our results at the European level. In order to do this kind of work, so to translate the main results into suitable recommendation, we organized different kind of workshops. First one was at the university level. Why it's important? Because at the university level we aim to include actors that are daily managing policies, and there are many at the same time mainly managing knowledge valorization practices.
So to make the outputs more sustainable at the institutional level, one of the tools that we have been implementing is the action plan. So the idea is to try to translate the needs that we have identified with the university policy workshops, and then to try to prioritize and align the needs with future actions that are also embedded in the strategy of the university.
The second kind of workshop was more open to the ecosystem. We involved different kind of partners of our quadruple helix to listen to the ecosystem in order to get knowledge on how to improve the collaboration from the university side. So what the university can do, and also what the ecosystem can better do to improve this kind of collaboration. The last step of our workshop was as the aim to contribute to the debate at the European level. The idea is to compare what today is the policy recommendation and how these needs and how this project could support and improve and add on this discussion.
At this stage of the project, what we call the KALEIDOS toolkit was ready to take shape, bringing together the full set of outputs jointly developed in our journey. By combining best practices for knowledge valorization contributed by all and refining them through a shared process, we transformed our collective experience into an online platform, a toolkit grounded in open science principles. So, one of the questions we had is how to translate our outcomes into real change and ecosystem enhancement amongst our universities. We worked together to develop individual action plans for them, setting out how they would like to embed the KALEIDOS approaches in their structures, connecting our outcomes to their leadership for long-term sustainability. We also aim that our learnings during the LIFE project contribute to the creation of policy recommendations at the European level, helping frame how knowledge valorization can evolve in line with the wider EU priorities. In the end, this project has been an incredible learning experience, a true journey for growth and exchange. My hope is that our contributions help others in making research more accessible, diverse, open, and at the end, impactful for all.